Welcome back. It's been a little while. Yeah, I've been super busy. Started a new job and I just haven't had time to record anything. But with some of the new changes coming to Ember, I just wanted to just get a small tip out there and see if it's useful for you. One of the things that was always hard for me to do in Ember was sharing cross-cutting functionality based around like the different components without using something like route action. And so one of those techniques was to use in the service, but in classic Ember, a service could have actions on it, but it was very difficult to call those actions in the templates. There was extra ceremony, and so it wasn't as obvious. And I think it's just in general wasn't as obvious that you could do it, especially since it wasn't really documented. And now with decorators and ES classes, it's more of a thing now, and it's a lot easier, and there's not really any difference between actions on a service or actions that are local to a component beyond just referencing that it's from a service. So let's give this a shot. Let me start a new app here. Oops. We'll have Ember CLI set everything up for us, and then we can install Ember decorators. And then I'll kind of give you an example. We'll just flesh out like a session service where we have some custom actions on the session service that we can call from anywhere. So let's see. Let me just open that up from VS Code. And close this off. Let's resize this. Okay. And I will start our server. Looks like I'm running something else. Let me close that out here. Okay, that should be better. Let's see. Just make sure that this works. Excellent. Okay, so let me just close this, and install Ember decorators. Looks great. So the nice thing about Ember decorators is that the version that we're installing now is actually the version that's going to be shipping with Ember. It's pretty much a polyfill until it has been implemented in Ember core. So that's nice. I think there's still an RFC open, which is a request for comments. Basically continuing on with decorators, even though TC39 didn't transition to the next stage. And so I think most likely the Ember community is going to pick that up and just go with it, because TC39 didn't throw it away, so that means there's hope. It's just there's more work. So it looks like our add-on installed here. So let me do npm start again. open a separate terminal. Just a little bigger. Let's create an Ember, a session service. And we will inject that service into our application controller. So it's okay. So we have controllers, application, and we'll use our Ember decorators to inject that. Okay, let's see here. Call it session. Looks like I have to enable experimental decorators in the config. Thought this was something that happened, but automatically, but I guess not. I think that's supposed to be in, hold on. What does it say? It's coming from ESLint. I'm gonna Google this. I think it's a JS config file. Okay. Compiler options. So this is for TS config, but I think same works. JS config. Let's do that. Add a new file. Just save that and let's see. It's still complaining. Let me just close this and bring it back. There it goes. Okay. So we've injected our service and let's go in the component here. I mean the template for the application, and we'll do user name, and we'll create a button here. So we'll call it login, and we'll actually wrap this in a if this session is authenticated, then we show the name. Else we show this button. So I mean, this is a pretty crude example. So currently it's going to error on us, or it won't. I guess it doesn't error, but oh yeah, it does. Yeah, so basically it's saying there's no action. We didn't pass anything. So let's define that on our service. And we'll do action, which for some reason isn't being auto imported, but that's all right. And we'll call it login. And we'll just set to true, and we'll do username. do that. Okay. So, and we'll just default is authenticated false. Not really necessary, but it's all right. And so now we should, actions, not right now, we forgot to import it. So let's import that. That's on the object. And that looks good. And so what action does is automatically bind this onto login here. So no matter where login is passed, it will still have the correct this, which is on the service. And so we'll have access to all these things here. So yeah, so our code here, username, that's all set. Login. So we hit login and we see username. Excellent. I mean, that's pretty much it. So you can pass this as an action anywhere. So I mean, I could create a nav bar, for example. So let's do that. G component. I'll use pod here and call it nav bar. And then we shall pull this out and just replace with nav bar. Save that. Let's see, where are we? Components nav bar. And we shall actually pass this down. So let me log in and username. So I mean, this we probably don't need to pass this down. Actually, let's just move everything on here. The session can be on in the component, so that'll kind of show you can use anywhere. So let me just copy this over here. Put on our component, and then see what's import. And we can just remove that from here. And so if we go back to application, we have a nav bar. Looks the same here. So login, some user, and let's just create a simple logout as well. Just copy that, call logout, and set false. And this can have and that's just for sake of, let's call this button because we don't want to submit button type. There we go. So log in, log out, and rename this log out. And I mean, that pretty much shows what we have. So log out, there we go. I mean, that's kind of powerful. So in our case, we might want to log out based on different states from different areas. Like, I mean, from a route or something, like something happens, you get a 401, you might want to log out. And generally, if you're using Ember data, that's kind of handled for you. At least it was Ember simple off. But like when you're building up slowly and you don't have any add-ons, like this is a great way to do that. And I mean, I'm just using session as an example, but you could see something like a nested tree of routes. And at the top level route, you have like one model that you pass around to all the child routes. And you want to also couple some logic with that. So you could technically use a service to do that. I mean, there are probably other ways to do it, and I'm still kind of investigating that. And so maybe there'll be a future video for an alternate pattern here as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know if that was useful for you. Yeah, it's good to be back, and I hope to continue making videos. Thanks for joining me.